Now at 6, an 18-year-old is recovering after he was shot by a police officer in Manchester last night. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Annette Montgomery. Police say the man was armed with a knife when the first responding officer arrived. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules is live in Manchester with what we know so far and reaction from neighbors. Alicia.
Annette, that shooting happened here on Park Street last night. The road was closed for hours while police conducted their investigation. Neighbors I spoke with described this area as safe and quiet, but after last night's shooting, they say they're surprised and still on edge.
We saw police going by, and within minutes we heard gunshots.
Two neighbors say they were out walking their dog when they heard the gunshots.
It scared us, so we headed right for the house.
Sunday night, just before 11 o'clock, police got a call reporting an active domestic disturbance. They say the caller reported that the suspect was armed with a knife. When the first officer arrived, investigators say they saw an 18-year-old man in the roadway who they say was involved in that disturbance. At some point after arriving, an officer fired their gun at the 18-year-old. He is now recovering at an area hospital. Police have not released information as to why the officer fired their weapon. Kashif Chowdhury, a neighbor, recalls seeing several cop cars on Parker Street.
I heard some screaming and yelling very loud, and then cops showed up, and there was probably like 6 or 7, and then more came, and at some point it was probably like 12, 13, 14.
He says seeing so many police cars was concerning.
I was kind of alert, like on edge.
Neighbors say they hope the young man is okay.
Such a shame. You know, it's probably just one wrong move, and this is what happened to him, and he wasn't thinking.
The Inspector General is now leading the investigation into the shooting. We'll update you on air and online as more information is released. Live in Manchester, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
All right, Alicia, thank you. And in a different Manchester police shooting, this one happening last October, the Office of Inspector General ruled an officer was justified in shooting and wounding a man because that man fired gunshots at the officer during a car chase. It happened on October 25th. Police pulled over Samuel Lee on I-84. They said it was for a mismatched license plate. Police said Lee sped off, and video from the cruiser showed Lee firing 6 shots at Officer Kyle Bussey, who fired back and hit Lee in the hip before arresting him. The report found that Officer Bussey had a reasonable fear for his life and was justified in firing back.
A fireworks show in Enfield was cut short after an apartment building caught fire. And tonight, investigators are trying to figure out if those fireworks are to blame. Now, all of this happened just a few blocks from the town green, where Enfield's 4th of July celebration was getting ready for its firecracker finale. Neighbors say this could have been much worse, but they still want something done about it. Fox 61's Victoria Anderson joins us live tonight on Maple Avenue. Victoria, it's still not clear right now what led to that fire.
Annette, the Thompsonville Fire Marshal was out here on the scene all morning continuing his investigation, but he still cannot tell us whether or not the fireworks that neighbors saw were connected to that Sunday evening fire. I did want to show you guys something real quick. We're here at the corner of the apartment complex. Neighbors told me this is where the fire started. You can see the flames shot up all the way to the 3rd floor of the apartment building. They said that they saw flames coming from 2 garbage bins. If you look down right there, that is all that is left of those garbage bins.
And we're not talking little firecrackers. We're talking cannons going off.
The cannon-like crack you are listening to was just the start of what would be a long night for the people who live on Maple Avenue.
When we called authorities, we got is anything on fire? We can't really come down that quickly because we're covering the taste of Enfield. 5 minutes later, another 2 calls had to be made. Yes, the house is now on fire.
David Carmona, who lives across the street, told us he called 911 when a group started to set off fireworks in the street around 9 p.m. He said it took about an hour for first responders to show up. By then, it was already too late.
And yelling, fire, fire. And people started beating on people's doors to get people out.
Angela Cook watched the hours-long firefight from across the street, praying the flame wouldn't spread.
They were spraying my house with the hoses over and over and over again to try to keep it from being the next one to go up.
No one was hurt in the fire. However, neighbors told us a dog was killed in the aftermath. Now they say it's time for answers and accountability.
Where 4 families lose their home over something that should have been avoidable. Not could have been, should have been.
Enfield police told us that they didn't get any calls about the fireworks before the fire started. We did talk to the Thompsonville Fire Department just a couple minutes ago, and they said they're still not ready to release a cause of Sunday's fire. But the things that we do know are that fireworks that are projectile, aerial, or explosive are illegal in the state of Connecticut for personal use. In Enfield, Victoria Anderson, Fox 61.
Today was warmer and a bit more humid, but we do have a weather impact alert in effect for Tuesday and Wednesday because the combination of heat and humidity will make it feel like up to triple digits as we head through the afternoon. So whatever you did a couple of weeks ago during that last heat wave, we're playing it all over again to stay cool, taking breaks, staying hydrated. You know the drill by this point. The heat does continue into Thursday, but it will be less humid, so not as much of an impact, and we don't see a heat index up around triple digits Thursday either. Right now it's 84 in Hartford, 79 for the New Haven area, and 77 in Torrington. There's a slight chance for a shower tonight. I think that chance is passed at this point, with those showers mostly staying to the north. Overnight lows will be near 70, so it is a warm start to the day tomorrow and a hot finish, hot, hazy, and humid with low to mid 90s for a lot of the state and upper 90s possible in the Hartford area. We'll talk about when the heat breaks and when the next chance for showers and storms will be coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. And to get the latest on the forecast and breaking news, download the free Fox 61 News app to all your devices. Turn on push notifications to not miss a single update.
An East Hartford convenience store clerk was robbed at gunpoint last night as he was closing up shop.
Now, police say the robber took all of his personal belongings and more than $1,500 in cash from the register.
Fox 61's Jamel Johnson spoke with the store owner about those tense and scary moments.
The owner of this convenience store behind me says he's lucky to be alive after Sunday night's robbery. He says this isn't the first time his store has been targeted, but he sure hopes it's the last.
Just before 11 Sunday night, this Gulf Express gas station was robbed for what the owner tells me feels like a fortune. Police say he had to give up $200 in cash, $1,500 from the store's register, a laptop, 2 iPhones, and multiple debit and credit cards. The owner also tells me he had to give up his Social Security card. The owner didn't want to go on camera, but he says this has been a worrying trend. It's the 3rd time his store has been targeted in some way since the 4th of July. This time he noticed a man hanging out near his business shortly before closing. As the owner walked out of the store, the robber held him at gunpoint and demanded that he hand over cash and other high-value items. The owner says he wishes police could stage a temporary patrol at his store's location to deter these attacks from happening. He says without help, he doesn't know if he can continue to operate his store here.
Now, we also spoke to a man who was getting gas here, and he said that this is one of his main gas stations he comes to, and he was so shocked and surprised that someone would target such a small convenience store. In East Hartford, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
Jamel, thank you. 2 underage people are now charged with murder in last week's Waterbury nightclub shooting. The suspects were in New Britain Juvenile Court today, 3 days after they were arrested. Detectives say they killed 22-year-old Trayvon Dunbar and 18-year-old Zanaya Dawkins near LA 42 nightclub. Police are scheduled to meet with the media tomorrow about the investigation. And tonight, we are learning that one of the victims of a deadly motorcycle crash in Danbury was a Bridgeport police officer. 38-year-old Cooper Whiteside of Danbury was off duty at the time. Bridgeport's police chief says Officer Whiteside was with the department since 2024. He was also a volunteer firefighter with West Reading. According to the Bethel Fire Department, the other victim in the crash was Whiteside's girlfriend, 34-year-old Brittany Islami of New Milford. As for the crash itself, officers say a Jeep Compass and a Harley-Davidson collided on Sugar Hollow Road around 2:45 this morning. Whiteside and Islami were pronounced dead at the scene. The Jeep driver had serious injuries and was taken to a hospital. Investigators say the cause of the crash remains under investigation.
Jurassic Park and Peaky Blinders star Sam Neill has died at the age of 78. The New Zealander's family said he died surrounded by loved ones earlier today. Their statement also called his death sudden and unexpected. Back in 2023, Neill was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer, and his family said at this time he was cancer-free. Neil has dozens of acting credits that span several decades. And breaking news now at 6:10, Lindsey Graham's sister will serve out her late brother's term. That announcement was made about 2 hours ago by South Carolina's Governor Henry McMaster. Darlene Graham's appointment will last just a few months as Graham was up for re-election this year. He won his Republican primary last month. Senator Lindsey Graham died on Saturday at the age of 71.
Senator Richard Blumenthal said he is mourning the loss of Senator Lindsey Graham, and he pledged to carry on one of the bipartisan efforts on which they had teamed up, a Russia sanctions bill. Blumenthal says passing it would be a fitting tribute to Graham. Despite their political differences, he said the two senators built a close working relationship on support for Ukraine.
And I hope that my colleagues will recognize that a fitting tribute to Senator Graham would be prompt passage of this measure on the floor of the Senate.
A preliminary medical examiner said today Graham died from a tear in his aorta. That's called an aortic dissection, which was related to the hardening of his arteries. An official cause of death will be released after toxicological and microscopic testing.
And Republican Senator Mitch McConnell's office shared an image of the senator and his wife yesterday, nearly a month after he was taken to a hospital. According to that statement included with the photo, the 84-year-old fell at his home in D.C., but then caught a mild case of pneumonia. That statement said McConnell's doctors confirmed he did not break any bones or suffer a concussion. In the statement, McConnell said he was briefly unconscious when he was taken from his home to the hospital and said he's since moved from the hospital to a rehabilitation center.
And we just learned a few minutes ago that the U.S. military has launched a new round of strikes on Iran today. This comes after President Trump said he is reinstating the blockade on Iranian ships in the Strait of Hormuz. In a Truth Social post from earlier today, the president said the strait is open and the U.S. will be the guardian of the crucial waterway. He said the U.S. will charge all other ships for safe passage at the rate of 20% of the value of the ship's cargo. He said that will be compensation for securing the strait.